separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. It's a Premier League action at the Amex Stadium this evening. It's a 5:30pm start as Brighton take on West Brom. This is 16th against 17th in the table. Just 2 points separate these two teams, although the Baggies, they're still searching for their first Premier League win of the season. Team news for this, and there's just one change for Brighton as Joel Veltman comes in. The defender replaces the suspended Lewis Dunk. As for West Brom, it's also one change as Semi Ajayi comes in for Ahmed Aghazi, who has left the Baggies to join its Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. This one then a 5:30pm start to Brighton taking on West Brom. Well, it's a very warm welcome along to our off-tube independent studio coverage of this Premier League encounter then, the first of a double-header this evening as Brighton are taking on West Brom at the Amex Stadium. The later game, which is available for you as well, it comes at 8pm at Turf Moor as Burnley are taking on Tottenham Hotspur. It's myself, James Mason, who will take you through the entirety of this game then on the South Coast, and a big one for both of these sides. Just one place separates them, Brighton in 16th, West Brom just below them. The Seagulls have amassed 4 points in their 5 games. As for West Brom, it's just 2 points in their first 5 games. The Baggies are actually one of a few sides that are just looking for their first win of the Premier League season, so they would like to get it this evening. It would lift them above their opponents as well, so a lot to play for in these early exchanges of the Premier League campaign. We're just about to get underway then for the opening of 45 minutes. If you missed the earlier team news, it's just one apiece of both of these sides. For Brighton, Joel Veltman comes in. That's in replacing the suspended Lewis Dunk. As to West Brom, there's also an enforced change for them because Ahmed Aghazi is out. He's left the Baggies as he's joined a Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad. He's been replaced in the starting 11 by Semi Ajayi. As we are underway then for this opening of 45 minutes, this first half of the Amex Stadium. And it's Brighton who will have the early possession as they kick off, and they're going from left to right in their blue and white in this first 45, and there's West Brom in their change kit of the yellow and the green stripes. They're going from right to left. I can run you through the two lineups in full for you. For Brighton, it is Matt Ryan in goal. They have Dan Burn, Adam Webster and Joel Veltman, who comes in for his first Premier League start for Brighton. He arrived in the summer. He has played one game for them, but it was 44 minutes. He came on as a sub in the 4-2 defeat to Everton at the start of October. Solly March is the left wing back, with Tariq Lamptey, the impressive Tariq Lamptey, is the right wing back. Yves Bissouma and Ben White are the two centre midfielders. White, of course, usually a centre-half, but he has played in that midfield role before when he was on loan at Leeds last season. Leandro Trossard and Adam Lallana are providing the support either side of Neil Maupay up front. Maupay already scored 4 goals from 5 appearances for Brighton this season, their top goal scorer. As for West Brom, they go with Sam Johnston in goal, Connor Townsend, Semi Ajayi, Branislav Ivanovic and Darnell Furlong as a back 4. Jake Livermore will sit just in front of those. Grady Dean Garnett and Matthias Pereira are the wingers. Filip Krovanovic and Conor Gallagher are the two centre midfielders, with Carlin Grant, the recent arrival for West Brom, leading the line. He's still looking for his first goal for his new employers, having signed from Huddersfield Town. Minute and a half gone, Brighton 0, West Brom 0, and it's the Seagulls that just give away possession in the middle of the park, which West Brom just pick up then as they have it the right back area with Furlong over across to Ivanovic, and now Ajayi picks up possession all the way to this left-hand side where Townsend has the ball. He's under pressure from Lamptey and he loses it. Lamptey's pressure does that, and now Maupay coming forward. It's 2-on-3 at the moment for Brighton. Oh, that's a terrible ball by Maupay. I don't really know what he was trying there. I think just on the wrong wavelength with Trossard. He tried to slip a through ball there, but Trossard just stopped his run around the edge of the box, and it's not harmfully into the feet of Johnston. As the Baggies have possession on the halfway line. Dean Garnett, nice turn by him. Finds the feet of Pereira. Switched out to this near left-hand side. Well, they'll try and come forward now with Townsend, waiting for a bit of support, and just pops it back inside to Dean Garnett again. Now, just looks past Krovanovic and finds Townsend. Now just into the feet then of Gallagher. Now towards the edge of the area. Right-footed shot comes in. It's a curler, but didn't really have the power that Krovanovic wanted on that one there. Number 17, around 20 yards out, trying to bend one with his right foot into the far corner. He got the bend, it was on target, but it was more than easy for Matt Ryan to just go down one bounce. And he clutches it into his chest as Brighton have possession now. And the left of their 3 centre-halves in Burn. He plays a long ball downfield. They're looking for the run of Maupay and almost gets away from Ajayi, but a good header then by the one change made by West Brom this evening. As Townsend goes all the way back to Johnston. He plays a long left-booted ball upfield there. Dean Garner chests it down. He's under pressure from Lamptey, but Dean Garner showing really good strength and pace, and he's brought down eventually there, so that will be a free kick to the Baggies just over the halfway line. Should be a good battle that actually between Lamptey and Dean Garner. Lamptey has had a great start to the season, likes to get forward. Impressed in Brighton's victory over Newcastle. Brighton's one victory of the season so far. It'll be interesting to see how much Lamptey is allowed to push forward and how much possession that Brighton do have. You feel it could be quite an even game. Although West Brom haven't picked up a victory yet, they have looked a little better in their previous matches. 2 draws from their last 3. They had the 3-3 against Chelsea. I have to say, in all accounts, it was a bit of a disappointing 3-3 in the terms that they were 3-0 up for West Brom at half-time. 4 goals from Mount, Hudson-Odoi and Abraham late on got the Blues a share of the spoils. They also had a 0-0 draw against Burnley last time out as well, and for all accounts they probably should have taken all 3 points from that game. They had a Carlin Grant goal chalked off, and maybe just signs that they are starting to get to grips, having returned to the Premier League once again. Bit of a topsy-turvy up and down team of West Brom, but it's Brighton coming forward now. Trossard out towards the left hand side where March will pick it up. He tries to dink one into the box. It's headed up into the air by Livermore. Ajayi then trying to battle for this one. It bounces down towards the feet of Johnston. I think they're just asking the referee there, which is Jonathan Moss this evening, Maupay, saying, has Ajayi come in there, maybe just pushed me there. He's just lent into him ever so slightly. I don't think that's going to be any sort of penalty there, and rightfully so from the referee not to give that one. But 5 minutes played, Brighton 0, West Brom 0. Been quite an even start so far, as Johnson just plays one out towards this left side, but too much power on that one. Just tries to clip it out towards Townsend, straight out of play. And you can see the unhappiness on his face as Brighton have themselves a throw. Just over halfway on this near right side, Lamptey just throws it back into his own half where Webster is waiting. So it looks as if Veltman is playing as the middle of the back, or the three centre halves of Brighton. Webster on the right, Byrne on the left, and Veltman in the middle. But Diangana now trying to come forward for Brighton, but that's good work though by White, who tracks back and gets a little shove on him, and now Brighton can try and work things out towards the left hand side of the field. It's Solly March in possession once more, just allowed to trot forward. Then he tries a crossfield ball, but that's been intercepted rather easily in the end by Townsend, and now West Brom will try and come forward. It's Krovanovic to Diangana, hugging this left touchline, a little step over, he drifts inside, now he finds Krovanovic again, back heel to Grady Diangana. It's good play, but Diangana actually just sort of treads on the ball. He was appealing for a free kick, but nothing there. But a good early signs from the link-up play between Diangana and Krovanovic, as Brighton now working down the left-hand channel, and Mope now around the edge of the area. I think the offside flag has eventually gone up. The officials now are, of course, have the remit to keep the flag down if they're not 100% sure, and they wait for the little word in their ear that it was offside, then they put the flag up, which I think is the right decision. That sort of stops any huge mistakes being made, as Brighton have possession on the edge of their own area. Just seeing shots of Ben White. Of course he has been linked with a January move to Liverpool. Of course he was the talk of the summer with Leeds United, having been promoted, trying to sign him permanently, but Brighton's valuation was too high, around £50 million that White is being valued at. And Ajayi just got a bit of defensive work to do, long ball downfield. He finds Johnston, who then just puts a ball upfield to Diangana. Again, brilliant control and strength by Diangana. Holds off Lamptey, and West Brom can play the ball back in through their midfield. It's Livermore in possession. Probably say a former England international now. He is still available for selection, but I don't think he's really going to get in the few caps that he's had for the three lines, as they try and come down the right side with Gallagher to West Brom, who, has he just ran that one out of play? I think he has. He's appealing to the linesman there, saying, well, was that not a foul? Basuma just came across, and Gallagher was already on the way down before Basuma had even put any contact on him there. He just lost his footing there, and how to play the ball goes. So Brighton have themselves a throw. Basuma is another player that has improved massively under Graham Potter. Good season last time out. He started this season off well as also. So a bundle of energy in that midfield. He wins the ball back. He's a key player for the Seagulls. Is a long ball upfield by Ryan, and goes back towards the three centre halves of Brighton, which they mop up with him. Basuma just says, just calm down to Ryan a little bit. Let's just try and pass the ball around slightly, as Webster plays long ball upfield again, looking for Mope. That's a great first touch by him, as he brings that down off Ivanovic's chest, and then Mope manages to feed the ball inside. Lamptey, or the referee, actually is going to bring this one back for a free kick, as Mope did play the ball across field. He was absolutely clattered by Ivanovic, the old statesman in this West Brom side. He was one of their summer signings that they made, and I think the referee may just have a little ticking off to Ivanovic there. He knew what he was doing, just leaving his mark, but knew he was never going to get a yellow card for that. But he has given away a free kick, as Jonathan Moss has just getting one of the Brighton players, Trossard, to help him just readjust something, I think, on his left arm there. Just seeing the challenge then again of Ivanovic on Mope. Definitely landed with a third, did the number 9. Certainly deserved that number though for Brighton. 4 goals, some 5 Premier League appearances so far. With some defending to do now for West Brom. Dangerous position for Trossard, who will try and whip this in with his right foot, you would feel. And he does step up there, and he dinks it into the box, looking for the head of Webster. It's nodded away by West Brom out towards this right-hand side. Krovanovic trying to complete the clearance, but he can just put it out of play, so it'll be another set-piece chance for Brighton. I think they'll probably go for the long throw potentially, or, as I say, that they may try and go short here. It's Lallana who's coming over. I don't think Lallana's got the longest of throws. Tariq Lamptey now has got the ball, but I think this will probably just be a short one. He tries to get it towards the edge of the area. It's headed away though by Livermore. Ball dropping down and trying to pick up the scraps as Krovanovic. He actually just hooks this one up towards the halfway line. Had no real option just to hack that one clear. As Brighton doing a bit of defensive work as they punt it back towards Ryan, who chests it down on the edge of his area. Clears the ball upfield. Composed work by the Australian. There's now Livermore trying to battle for the ball in the middle of the park, and he does well as Gallagher then picks up the ball away from him. Now Krovanovic down this left-hand side. He's got the overlapping one from Townsend, who he finds now. The left-back trying to come forward. He's faced up though against Ben White, who does well to come across and just slow the pace of that attack down. Livermore now finds Diangana, who actually trips over his own feet, but they do well there. West Brom down this left-hand side. The ball's broken to Townsend, whips one in. Oh, it's in the back of the net, but the referee's actually brought this back for a foul. He didn't like that in the build-up. Nice little finish then by Colin Grant, but to be fair, Brighton had stopped really. The defenders knew they heard the whistle, and the play is back underway with Brighton with the ball just outside their own penalty area. It is with Webster up towards halfway. It's brought down by Trossard, now with Basuma. Good work by him. Finds the ball out to the left-hand side where Byrne can come forward. Now there's a switch of play by Trossard out towards this right-hand side, and Lamptey's got a chance to come forward now, and he's one-on-one with Townsend at the moment. Lamptey then tries to cut inside, treads on the ball, still keeps it though. Now he does find the ball inside towards White, who just drifts into the penalty area. Still going as White there, tries to get towards the byline, and well, I'll say he's ushered behind there by Semri Ajayi. Good strong defending in the end by the West Brom man. Made sure that White definitely felt that one. Down to the floor, and no complaints from White. He'd already sort of lost the track of the ball, but good defending by Ajayi in the end, and it remains 0-0 between these two sides with nothing for either keeper really to do as of yet. Early exchanges then at the Amex Stadium. Still goalless between Brighton and West Brom. It's been pretty even between both of these sides. There's been some decent play, some good passing football, but no keeper has been tested yet. West Brom did have the ball in the back of the net. It was Colin Grant who finished it off, but there was already a foul in the build-up. The referee, Jonathan Mosser, blew his whistle as he didn't like a challenge that happened near the left-hand side of the field. The ball was whipped in and Grant finished it, but nothing came from that. So Brighton, though, they are looking lively with the balls over the top as well. Neil Maupay is proving a bit of a handful, but he's yet to get a clear sight of goal. But it remains Brighton 0, West Brom 0. And maybe half a chance here. West Brom as they come forward down the right hand side. Ball late towards the edge of the box. Ooh, dearie me. It's been absolutely skied over the bar there. Not really what they were looking for. Looks to the heavens. There's the West Brom man. To see this chance again. It was a lovely dink ball over the top then by Mateus Pereira. He found the run of Diangana, and the ball was pulled towards the edge of the area and was absolutely skied over the bar. But it's a great bring down to say Diangana. Well, we all knew the thoughts of Mark Noble when West Brom sold him. So when West Ham sold him in the summer, he wasn't happy with that then. He made it clear to the West Ham board as well. Certainly does look a prospect. Does Diangana. Had a good couple of seasons in the Championship, a few loan spells. He seems like he's enjoying his time in the Premier League. He'll be hoping that he can keep West Brom up this season. It does look like it will be a battle against relegation for the Baggies and potentially the Seagulls as well. Both of these sides, for all the good football they do play, they sometimes do lack a bit of a cutting edge when they really need it. A clinicalness in front of goal. As West Brom punt the ball upfield down the right hand side. It's headed out of play by Byrne. Will be a throw in it to the Baggies. So the Seagulls, well, they've won just one of their 10 top flight games against West Brom. So not the greatest record, but on the other hand, the Baggies' last league win away to Brighton was 3-0 in the second tier. That was back in April 1990. So the stats aren't really going for either side going into this game, as West Brom have the ball on the halfway line on this near left side. Townsend then just goes in field and finds Ajayi. He then feeds it into the feet though. It's been picked off though as Gallagher. That's a really good play actually by Byrne, who stepped out of defence and trapped Gallagher. Now it's out towards the left hand side where March will pick up possession just over halfway. Looks inside and finds Basuma just a couple of yards to his right, and Basuma in turn goes out towards this near right channel. It's with Webster. Turns back inside and finds Basuma again. Under a bit of pressure from Gallagher. Basuma now once more has the ball, just dinks it forward then towards the feet of Trossard, who again goes for that crossfield ball, and he's found Lamptey, who's charging forward now right on the edge of the penalty area. He whips the ball towards the far post, and Ivanovic just stabs out a right leg there, gets something on it, headed by Townsend, but it'll be picked up by Brighton again as they come forward. It's out towards this right hand side once more where Lamptey has it. Little touch by him. He's got Diangana putting pressure on him. That's good play by White. Into the penalty area they go now. Maybe an opportunity for the shot to come in. It's dinked in, maybe a chance, and right footed volleyed into the top of the net, but the offside flag has gone up against Neil Maupay. And it was a lovely little ball by Adam Lallana. Great work by Brighton in close quarters down this right-hand side. Lallana just dinked it over. And, yeah, he's absolutely well offside there, is Neal Maupay. It's a cracking finish around sort of 9 yards out. First time right-footed volley. Just wraps his foot over the top of it and into the top left corner. But the linesman made the right choice there. He was definitely offside. But both teams now have had the ball in the back of the net, but rightfully so. Both goals chalked off. West Brom's for a foul in the build-up, and Brighton's there for an offside from Maupay. Slaven Bilic has not left his technical area since this game has started. He's all-action manager. Someone who tries to get 110% out of his players. As Ajayi just deals with a ball out towards this left-hand side. Actually come off a Brighton man last, so it'll be a throw into the Baggies. 16 minutes gone, Brighton 0, West Brom 0. Just seeing shots then of Lewis Dunk, who is in the stands this evening, suspended for that straight red card that he received last time out. It was a bit of a horrid challenge, I have to say, by Lewis Dunk in the 1-1 against Crystal Palace. It was in stoppage time, that one as well, after Brighton has scored. Lunging two-footed challenge. The goal scorer from that game actually for Brighton in McAllister, only afforded a place on the bench again. Can't quite work his way into this starting lineup as things stand. As we see shots of Graham Potter as well in his technical area, as Brighton have a throw down this right hand side. He goes down the line looking for Maupay. He's battling away with Ajayi and also Livermore. Maupay's gone down actually, just clutching his left leg there around his knee area. I'm not sure if he's just felt something in a little challenge. I mean, Ajayi's been very, very physical with him. And just as I say that, Furlong has now gone down for West Brom. Went up for a challenge with March, and he just landed a little bit heavily, landed on his side there. He jumps up, he wins the header. There's no real foul for March, I have to say, but it's just the angle that he's fallen down there. And from the height, that's just going to be a bit of an impact injury, I'd feel, for Furlong. I think he will be okay. As Bilic is getting some messages across towards his players. So animated in the technical area. I have no clue what you're going on about there. His fingers are waggling all over. I would just be nodding my head going, yep, sure boss, we'll get that done. As West Brom will have a throw on the far left side of the field. Solly March will take it, and he finds Byrne, who goes inside the penalty area for Ryan. Skipper and West Brom are pushing up high at the moment. They're trying to put the press, defend from the front, as they say, as this ball is just chipped forward then by Webster. Now there's a nice little flick on by Lamptey as Lallana keeps this ball in play. He then puts it in field. Looks like he's fouled there by Livermore. Lamptey's done really well to try and win it back, but then West Brom have it now. Maybe a chance for them to counter as Krovanovic finds the ball out towards his left-hand side now. It's Dean Garner. Oh, he tried to just flick that one inside away from Webster. Really good defending by the Brighton centre-back though. Then he flicks it off Dean Garner as well, and he wins his side of throw. Dean Garner for a moment his eyes must have lit up when that ball came towards him. Just tries to catch Webster off guard there by just quickly nicking it inside, but it was a good foot that came in. Just seeing shots of Danny Welbeck on the sidelines as well. He's on the bench this evening for Brighton. A recent free transfer arrival after he was released by Watford. Graham Potter's had good things to say about Welbeck in the build-up to this game, said that he's still got a lot to offer. He has had an injury-plagued career, you have to say. If he's fit, he's always good for a few goals a season as Welbeck, which could be the difference in Brighton potentially staying up and going down, but that's not going to be very good from Brighton defensively. They give it away. Now Krovanovic is twisting and turning, finds the ball then towards Pereira, who looks like he's taken a little bit late there, and he is, so it will be a free kick pretty much midway through Brighton's half. The Baggies will look to try and feed one in. They tried to take it quickly, but the referee saying no, bring that ball back. Assume with the guilty party here. We'll just see the replays of the challenge. It's not too bad, to be quite honest there. Assumer just tries to nick in and win the ball. Pereira does a little sort of pirouette on the ball. It was really good skill by him, and he just gets his ankles taken away from him, so I think the free kick is the right decision. No yellow cards as of yet. Krovanovic and Pereira are both standing over this one, but it's Pereira who will be taking it. Such an integral player to West Brom getting promoted last season as he whips this ball in looking for Ivanovic, but way too much on that ball. It's an easy claim in the end for Ryan, who I think he was looking for a quick ball upfield, but there was no one really there. Eventually he just goes overarm out towards the left hand side, and now Byrne can try and charge forward. Over halfway he comes there, he finds the ball in towards the feet that are March. Byrne gets it back, he tries to lay it in field there, takes a deflection, he gets a second chance, and he does find Mopé now. He's under pressure back to goal and finds March then, who just cuts inside from the left. Gallagher gets a foot in, only as far as Basuma though. Now it is with White, good play by him, but he overruns it then, and then he fouls Gallagher as well, and that will be a free kick to West Brom. It's all just gone a little bit scrappy between both of these sides. It's just not quite sticking in the final third. Defences definitely on top in this one. Now the keeper has had a save to make as of yet. We've had the ball in the back of the net for both teams, but both are rightly ruled or chalked off. The first for a foul, the second, which was Brighton's goal, for an offside. As now Dean Garner's coming forward there, he finds the ball in the penalty area, maybe a chance, and well, there's a low one just squirted across the edge of the 6-yard box. Nobody was making that run. It was a good ball actually. Came in from Jake Livermore, of all people who got himself forward, as White now has possession. Now it is with Byrne. Brings the ball close towards halfway. Now he finds Basuma under no real pressure, just scampers a few yards back into his own half. Now he finds Webster. He goes to his left to find Veltman, the middle of the three centre halves. Now it's Byrne again. Long ball downfield, they're trying to go over the top of this West Brom defence, and Johnston should just be able to deal with this one, and he does. It's definitely a tactic Brighton are using in this game, is the long balls over the top, down the channels, trying to use the pace of Trossard, Mopé, trying to catch out maybe the older statesman in Branislav Ivanovic, but West Brom are dealing with this one well at the moment. But still Brighton 0, West Brom 0, 22 minutes on the clock. As Brighton will just throw this ball back in field, and they'll go again from their goalkeeper Ryan. Well, it's still goalless then at the Amex between Brighton and West Brom, and still neither keeper have had a shot to save yet. It's been some decent sort of work in the middle of the park from both sides, but they're just lacking that cutting edge at the moment. It's been defences are on top. Brighton are going for sort of the long ball down the field over the top of the defence, trying to catch out the older statesman in Branislav Ivanovic. It hasn't worked yet. They did have the ball in the back of the net, Brighton actually. Neil Mopé with a good volleyed finish, but he was well offside, and the right call for the flag to go up. So both sides just struggling at the minute for that bit of clinicalness in the final third with that killer pass, really, the cutting edge. It's why it still remains Brighton 0, West Brom 0. It's Brighton that will try and come forward now, but that's poor from Byrne as his pass is picked off, and now they'll work towards the right hand side of the field with Pereira. He's one-on-one with Byrne at the moment, then he tries to play the ball in field, and Lamptey though, that's good covering by the young right back, or wing back in this game anyway. He read the play, read the danger, gives it back to his goalkeeper, and now Brighton are actually coming forward themselves at Trossard down this left hand side. Ball inside there, Lallana into the penalty area, finds Mopé, right footed shot. Oh, brilliant save by Johnston. What a goal that would have been for Brighton. It was a fluid, the most fluid piece of play that we've had in this game so far. And it's Sam Johnson that has come to the rescue of his team. It's a brilliant save by him. It's quick, incisive play by Brighton. Trossard finds Lallana. Great first touch by Lallana. Left-hand side, he finds Mopé, who is around 10 yards out. Takes a touch, right-footed. He tries to bend it around the goalkeeper. Doesn't actually take a touch first time, excuse me. And it's a brilliant save by Johnson. He's already... His weight is shifted over to his right-hand side. He's falling over, just sticks out a left leg, and he gets something on it. Brilliant play by the goalkeeper. Has kept the scoreline at 0-0, and it stopped the Seagulls from going ahead, but that should give them some confidence now, Brighton. And so it was a lovely play. Lallana now edge of the area, tries a little back heel to find Basuma, doesn't work as West Brom come in and win the ball back, but then they give it away. The Baggies are just under the cosh a little bit now as Brighton have it on the left hand side of the field now. It's Basuma, then he tries to find a ball in towards the path of Mopé. He goes over appealing for a foul. He's not going to get any change from Jonathan Moss in this one, as he says it's fine, that wasn't a foul, and West Brom can start again now as they come down the left-hand side. It's Townsend over halfway, looking for Dean Garner, instead goes inside towards Krovanovic. He holds the ball, finds Townsend again. White trying to do a bit of tracking at the moment. Krovanovic, Dean Garner. Short, snappy passing by West Brom, but just not getting the ball in the right areas for their more dangerous players. Dean Garner there was always back towards the goal, as
Ivanovic now has it on the halfway line. He finds Ajayi towards his left-hand side. Now it's with Livermore. The Englishman finds the ball towards Krovinovic. He then tries to dink one over the top of the defence. Doesn't work though. Far too easy for Byrne to intercept that with his head. And now Basuma comes forward and he finds Mopé on the halfway line. He takes a couple touches and turns and tries to lay a lovely ball forward, and Lamptey gets on the end of this one, tries to thread it through for Lallana. Ajayi though, it's brilliant again from Ajayi. Lallana got a touch on it. I'm not sure if Ajayi's got that as well, although just as that challenge has gone in, Lallana did put his hand up. I'm not sure if he's injured himself here, Adam Lallana. Just have to wait and see. Every time Lallana goes down you do worry, because he's had his injury problems over the last couple of seasons. I think he is back on his feet now, so he is okay. But it's actually going to be a corner for Brighton. It's a nice quick play again. That's a couple of times Lamptey's got forward now down the right hand side, and Dean Garner just couldn't quite get it and nick the ball away from. Had to allow Lamptey to run forward. There's a corner kick. Mopé is appealing to the referee, saying just keep an eye, because he looks like he's been manhandled on that goal line. It'll be Solly March that'll whip this in though. Left foot in, swing delivering high towards the far post there. Maybe a chance. Jumping up for it there is Byrne. Overhead kick then. Trying to play it back into the danger area. It's skewed away out towards the left hand side. Basuma should be able to watch this one go out, which he does. His number 6 Livermore was trying to stop him and win the ball as Brighton take the throw quickly. Basuma has it back. Looking up for some options. He's got no one really ahead of him, so just goes back down the line. Now they work it towards the left corner of the box. Mopé, good strength by him. Lallana then just slides one back towards Lamptey. It nearly found its way towards Diangana. Would have been a misplaced pass, but Brighton keep a hold of the ball, but they've actually been forced to work it back into their own half now. Well, they'll go again with their centre halves. It's now with Webster. Out towards the left hand side where March has it. Just puts one in field towards Mopé. Again, so busy, takes a touch, but is always on the move. Mopé finds White, who's asking for someone to come close for him. He does find Lallana, who just has a little back heel towards Lamptey, who looks like he's fouled by Dean Garner. No, says the referee, but Lamptey's so quick to get back up to his feet there. Brilliant play by Lamptey. And he immediately looks at the referee when he won the ball back and passed it towards Adam Webster. Where was the bit of a foul there, but Brighton do have possession. Now is a little ball in field there. Mopé around 30 yards out, holds off Ajayi. Great strength again for Mopé. Now White will pick up possession, finds Lamptey on the right corner of the penalty area. That's a good chance that comes in from Diangana, but again it's only as far as White, as Brighton just starting to get a bit of sustained pressure now in this game. It's with Webster over the halfway line. Looks up, oh dearie me, just as I say that, Webster has played it straight out, not on the same wavelength as March, who just made the dart inside. Webster thought he was going to hold his position on the left touchline, and it will be a throw-in to West Brom. Just to remind again of the action that will be coming up later as well that week. We'll have commentary for you at 8 PM. Burnley taking on Tottenham Hotspur at Turf Moor. 9-game unbeaten run that Spurs run across all competitions. That's since their opening day defeat to Everton, the 1-0 loss. As for Burnley, they're yet to pick up a win in the Premier League this season as well, so they'll be hoping to change that as West Brom try and create something, but it's just an aimless volley ball forward. The attack breaks down and Brighton have the ball once again with Lamptey. Just finds it towards the edge of the box for Webster. Just saying, Brighton a bit of sustained pressure. 68% possession they've had over the last 10 minutes with that chance that came from Mopé. So West Brom are just maybe dropping a little bit deeper now, maybe soaking up a bit too much pressure. They're not defending from the front as much as they were, as Webster chips the ball forward up towards halfway. Good touch by Trossard, who then just half volleys it out towards the on-running Byrne, and Byrne is still coming forward now, charging forward out towards the left. He finds March, who puts a low ball into the box, maybe a chance of Mopé. Oh, he's missed it as Mopé. How on earth? Well, the player that you wanted that to fall to was Neil Mopé. 4 goals already in the Premier League this season, and I think he just gets his footwork all wrong there. Lovely play again by Brighton. Byrne this time stepping out from defence, charging forward, low ball towards March towards his left, puts the ball in, and maybe it's the sliding attempt from Furlong which has put Mopé off, but he just needs to go with his left foot, and he's tried to open his body, open his foot, his right foot up there and just guide it in. Just needs to swing at it with his left foot, and he probably scores from around 6 yards out. As it is a corner kick for Brighton though. West Brom could only put it behind. Trossard this time will take this corner. Be right-footed in, swing and delivery. It's a good-looking ball as well, but it's missed by the head then of Webster. Ivanovic nods it away. Lamptey then wins his header, but West Brom have managed to clear their lines. But as I say that, they've only cleared them straight towards Brighton as Lamptey then goes for a crossfield ball, but that's been intercepted. And now the Baggies will try and create something themselves as Dean Garner brings it forward down this right-hand side now. But there is the recovering Byrne, puts his foot in, wins the ball back. And at the moment, West Brom can't keep a hold of the ball when they get it, and it's just going to be breathing more confidence into Brighton. It is still goals though between Brighton and West Brom. Listening to Off-Tube Independent studio coverage as the ball finds Veltman. Now towards Byrne. He tries a little 1-2 then with March, but his run was tracked, so March just goes back into his own half where he finds Veltman. Now it is with White on the halfway line, right on the centre circle spot. Finds Webster. Now Lamptey just thinks it back towards the feet of Webster. And the Seagulls are looking more confident as time goes on. Lallana now has possession and he finds Trossard in a bit of space there, edge of the area. He twists and turns there, trying to get room for a shot. He does, unleash with a right-footed effort, but that's straight down the middle of the goal. It's easy for Johnston in the end, but again, it's just signs that Brighton are starting to get on top in this game. He made room for himself. He's trying to bend it with his right foot, but he wasn't meaning to go that central with it. I think he's trying to bend it into the top right corner. Just gets it wrong there, does Trossard really. An easy save for Johnston, who's keeping West Brom in this game with that save from Mope earlier. Certainly the Seagulls that are on top in this one. But this is it, all Brighton so far this season. The one win they've had against Newcastle, they were clinical, but in other matches they haven't really been. For all their pretty football and how, attractive it looks and the praise they get, it's turning that possession, it's turning that good-looking football into goals where sometimes they do struggle a little. If Mope isn't scoring, then they do struggle in the final third as Basuma now comes forward. Mope looks like he's brought it down from behind, but fair challenge as the referee as Dean Garner and tries to release the ball over the top of the defence, but it's far too easy for Brighton to deal with. Marek Ryan has it now into the feet of Webster. He just punts a long ball downfield. Looking for Mope. Ajayi wins his header, but again it's only towards a blue shirt as Brighton will come forward once more. Basuma out towards March on the left-hand touchline, and he'll run down that channel there, unopposed at the moment as March, and still going forward as March, trying to get to the byline. Furlong puts a challenge in, and it'll be another corner kick for Brighton. It's far too easy there for March. He pretty much ran unopposed for around 30 yards there before there was actually any pressure put on him. By that time he was close towards the byline, and all Furlong could do was just block it behind for another corner kick. Webster up from the back, as is Byrne. If any of the big centre-halves can get their head on this one, it's Trossard who will take this corner again. It'll be another right-footed in-swing and delivery. It's a good-looking ball as well towards the far post there, and then the header flicks off the forehead really of Byrne. And it's going to be, it's actually flicked off Byrne and then a West Brom defender in Ivanovic as well. So it'll be a throw to Brighton down this right-hand side. It's just a few yards back from the corner flag. I think Byrne, the hands went on the head. Frustration. I think he was probably just about to get really good contact on it until Ivanovic just did enough to get himself in the way. Lamptey with this throw. And she just goes back down the line to Basuma, who gets a little lucky there, does Basuma, because he made a bit of a hash of his control to start with. Ball is pinging around, and eventually it's going to end up to be a West Brom throw-in. That was a bit of scrappy play, I have to say. West Brom will just be relieved. I think they'll just try and slow things down a little bit, catch their breath. Because they're second best in this game at the moment, but they are still on level terms. Brighton 0, West Brom 0. As this throw is taken by Townsend down the line though. And again, Lamptey wins his head, and Brighton are able just to clear this ball forward. It's a bit of an up and under then, looking for Lallana. The header's won by Livermore. Now the battling for it on the halfway line as the Baggies do come away. They pick up the scraps this time. That's better from them. Krovanovic finds Townsend. He then cuts in field and finds the ball towards Ivanovic. He takes one touch. Oh, that's a poor ball by Ivanovic though. It's picked off by March. And now Brighton trying to counter themselves quickly. Now Trossard, middle of the pitch then, towards the edge of the D. Right-footed shot! And Johnson just puts his right hand up in this one, and then he has a bit of a weak punch, but he does get something away from there. And Krovanovic then finds the ball back towards Ivanovic, who just punts a long ball forward. But that's another chance for Brighton. It was some distance around the edge of the D. And Trossard again, it was just too central by him. Ivanovic, terrible ball trying to find Furlong. It was just so easily read by Solly March. Little ball in field. Trossard faked with his first shot, had an effort with his right in, got good power. It was just right down the middle, and Johnson just puts up a flat right hand there. He gets good power behind it, just puts it straight up into the air, and then he punches it away with his second attempt, as Krovanovic now plays a nice ball inside towards the feet of Livermore. Now it's with Gallagher out towards the right hand side where Furlong has possession. Brighton, though, doing a good job of pressing high up the field, but Gallagher, that's a good turn by him. Then he tries to feed a ball forward, but that's intercepted. I mean, Colin Grant has barely had anything in this game. I can't remember many touches that he's had. I don't think he'd be in double figures, to be quite honest. That's how isolated he has been in that lone striker role. As Trossard now down the left hand side finds Mopé. He gives it back towards the halfway line where Byrne is waiting. Now it's with Veltman, across to Webster. I'm just happy to pass this one across the back at the moment. There's no real pressure from the Baggies, as patience is the key word from Brighton here, but that's a poor attempted back heel by Trossard. No need for that, just needed to control it, and West Brom have possession back as Johnston finds Townsend on this near left hand side. Now Krovanovic gives it back to Townsend, who actually slips. It's going to be a throw to Brighton midway through West Brom's half, and Slaven Bilic, he's remonstrating with his players and his coaching staff as well. He looks a frustrated manager at the moment with Slaven Bilic. He knows his side are second best as things stand, but they are still on level terms. Like I've said, Brighton 0, West Brom 0. Ball up towards halfway for the Baggies, but the referee's actually spotted a foul, and West Brom will just be able to catch their breath once again. I think they'll just be looking for half time. I have to say, West Brom, a game plan isn't working at the moment. Matt Ryan has had absolutely nothing to do. They're going to have to switch things up, I think, if they're going to potentially get their first win of the Premier League season. They do have options on the bench, do West Brom. Callum Robinson, who's actually their top goal scorer in the league with 2 goals, he is among the substitutes. Matt Phillips as well, pacey winger, can grab a few goals now and again. So, a couple options if he wants to change things up in an attacking sense, but West Brom do have a throw deep down this left hand side. Townsend gets it back, then he looks to deliver a ball high towards the far post. There may be a chance. Grant just can't time his run properly, or he tried to head that one back towards goal, skimmed actually off the top of his forehead, found the way towards the edge of the box to Furlong, whose half volley attempt goes way over the bar, and that's probably one of the clearest sights of a half chance that West Brom have had in this first half so far. It's all been a little bit disappointing from the Baggies. Well, still we await the first goal then at the Amex between Brighton and West Brom, but it's certainly the Seagulls that are on top in this game. The only reason that they are not ahead is because of the West Brom goalkeeper Sam Johnston. There was a lovely, quick, incisive play by Brighton, the best move of the match so far, when Byrne just brought it forward out of defence, over halfway, slips it into the feet of Lallana. Beautiful first touch by the former Liverpool man. He then just plays it to his left-hand side for Mopé in the penalty area. His first time right-footed shot is saved superbly by the left foot of Johnson. Trossard as well has had half an opportunity when he scampered forward, had a shot from just outside the area, but it was down the middle of the goal, and Johnson made a double save in the end. But it is Brighton that are on top, but it's still 0-0. It's Brighton that are in possession as well as they come up towards halfway. They just work it back towards the defence though, as there was no real viable options up front. Now it is with Webster, goes back towards his goalkeeper in Ryan, and like I said, has had very little to do so far. Probably could have got himself a deck chair out. Colin Grant hasn't had much to feed on for West Brom. As there's a long ball down the right hand side, it's intercepted by the head of Townsend, but just put out for a throw for Brighton. Just over 5 minutes plus any stoppage time to go until the break in this one. Brighton 0, West Brom 0. Lamptey with the throw, just go short inside towards Veltman, who had stepped out of defence. West Brom get their foot to it, but it's just high towards the halfway line, where Dan Byrne has done some brilliant control there. Byrne still coming forward, and he's striding forward now as Byrne there. Superb by the big centre half. Now he finds the ball towards the unrushing Trossard, down that left hand side of the field, onto his right foot. Looks for options, delivers one into the box towards the far post. Lamptey nods it down there. Maybe a chance Lallana with his right foot, and his strike is blocked. Then Lamptey tries to put it in. Oh, and it is in the back net eventually, and it's a horrendous own goal. Brighton won't care because they are ahead in this game. Ivanovic and Livermore, one of those two has conspired. It was the duo were trying to clear that ball away. I think Livermore's probably hit that onto Ivanovic and it will go down as an own goal. But Trossard with a ball towards the far post there. Lamptey gets up and wins his head. He nods it down for Lallana. His shot is blocked by Semri Jai. Lamptey then, he reacts quickest as he then nips onto the ball. He plays it back across the face of goal. The keeper is exposed. Ivanovic then, it's so unlucky. Ivanovic actually gets in ahead of Mopé at the far post. Slides in with his left foot. He's going to clear it away, but he absolutely smacks it into Livermore, who can't get out of the way, and that is the opening goal. So it'll be a Livermore own goal. So unfortunate really for Ivanovic, who had done well actually to react to that ball across the face of his own goal. But it will be a Livermore own goal, and Brighton, you have to say, for all of their play, they have deserved this opening goal of the game. We've got the opening goal then at the Amex Stadium, and it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0, but it's not come from a Brighton player. It is actually an own goal. It was some nice work by Brighton down the left-hand side. Initially it was Dan Burn. He then finds Leandro Trossard. He just swings one into the penalty area. Lamptey nods it down. Lallana takes a touch. His right-footed shot is blocked by Ajayi, but it breaks towards Lamptey again, who puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic actually gets in. He's going to slide the ball away, but he absolutely smacks it into Livermore, who's trying to get there as well. He's only a few yards off his own line. It hits off Livermore into the back of the net, and that is a opening goal for Brighton then. It's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. We've also, just as I was speaking there, got a yellow card that's come out for Tariq Lamptey, just clattering into Klovanovic down this right hand side. But Lamptey, he was one of the bright sparks then to set up that goal. He did set up Lallana initially in that move. It was a bit of a tame effort from Lallana, I have to say, but the attempted clearance from Ajayi wasn't great. But there was Tariq Lamptey to react quickest, to get the ball back across into that danger zone, and dreadfully unlucky really for Ivanovic's clearance to smack off Livermore, but that's the way it goes sometimes when you're struggling towards the bottom end. As West Brom trying to respond now, they've got around 2.5 minutes plus any stoppage time until the break. Brighton 1, West Brom 0 if you're just joining, and Jake Livermore own goal in the 40th minute. Just seen shots of Lamptey going over to take a throw, which Brighton will have on this right hand side of the field. I'm also just seeing the camera pan towards the West Brom skipper in Livermore. Dreadfully unlucky for him. Nothing he could do to get out of the way. Nothing Ivanovic could do really, bar from put his foot through it when he had Mopé just on his right shoulder. Didn't have time to take a touch or anything like that. Had to clear it away first time as Veltman now plays a ball upfield. It's been intercepted though, and now West Brom trying to create something. Gallagher, lovely turn by him. Finds the feet of Krovanovic, but Lamptey steps in and just gets a foot on it, but only as far as Livermore now. The Baggies will look to work it down the right hand side. Furlong just finds it. Not many options ahead of him, has to go back towards the halfway line where Jai finds Gallagher again, out towards this left hand side for Townsend, just feeds it short ahead of him towards Diangana, twisting and turning, finds the ball back down the line to Krovanovic. Diangana will have it again. He's one on one here against Webster, but again absolutely brilliant defending by Adam Webster. As I say, that his attempted clearance does ping back inside, and Lallana, well, safety from the former Liverpool man, is just clears it out of play. But West Brom do have themselves a throw in attacking position, but definitely the pace of those West Brom wingers isn't causing any problems towards this Brighton defence at the moment, as now the ball is around the edge of the area, left hand side. Diangana again, lovely footwork by him, does look comfortable with the ball at his feet as Jai now has it back on the halfway line. Ivanovic finds Pereira. He's under pressure as Pereira tries to dink a little ball forward there to Livermore. Does well actually there, Livermore. Foot comes in from Basuma, wins it back for Brighton. That ball is just cleared out of play though. Just a little bit haphazard from Brighton at the back at the moment. Just out for a throw for West Brom on the right hand side of the field, which is taken quickly then by Furlong. We've got around 40 seconds plus any stoppage time to go in this opening half. Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Krovanovic now on this left side finds Townsend, who first time goes back towards the feet of Ajayi. Townsend then has it again. He goes in field towards Livermore. He just strides over halfway. Finds Gallagher trying to get away from White, which he does. A little arm on his back. The referee says play on as West Brom still have the ball. Gallagher again now. Out towards the left side for Townsend. One touch, rolls it towards the feet then of Dean Garner. Townsend lovely on the overlapping run. Then he delivers one into the penalty area again. The Brighton defender's in the way though. It was a bit of a, well, just to get one in there really from Townsend. It wasn't really eyeing anyone up, and it was easy enough in the end for Brighton to clear. But it is the Baggies that have the ball back. Ajayi then pings it across field towards Ivanovic. We're into first half stoppage time now. Gallagher, just a minute of stoppage time as well. Gallagher thought he was fouled, but the referee says no, and Brighton might have a chance to come for themselves quickly now. Trossard up towards halfway, comes into West Brom's half. He's looking for some support with him now as Trossard. He does eventually get it, but West Brom have got the bodies back. It's Basuma now who strides forward, finds Solly March hugging the left touchline. He finds Lallana, a little step over. Oh, Lallana nearly got the ball back from Mope. It was just slightly under hit, and West Brom managed to bring this ball away now. Dean Garner goes back towards Townsend. Now it's in field towards Livermore. Livermore out towards this left hand side. Now it's with Townsend again. Now it's in field towards Livermore. Now it's on the halfway line where it is with Colin Grant, who's come very, very deep for this one. Out towards the right where Furlong will have it, and the minute is gone, and I think the referee has blown for half time, and he has indeed there. So it's just that solitary goal which separates the two teams at the minute. A Jake Livermore own goal. At the break then it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Mope nearly scored a first time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0.
Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0. Half-time at the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton 1 at West Brom at 0. The Seagulls have been the better of the two sides. West Brom have been toothless in the final third. They haven't really tested Sam Johnson. As for Brighton, well, Neil Maupay nearly scored a first-time effort from inside the box, which is saved by the legs of Johnston. Trossard then had a couple of efforts from distance, but the goal came on the 40th minute when it was an own goal. It was Lamptey who nodded it down to Lallana. His shot was blocked. Lamptey then gets on it first. He puts it across the face of goal, and Ivanovic hits it off Livermore and into the back of his own net. At half-time, it's Brighton 1, West Brom 0.
Well, it's a very warm welcome back to our off-tube independent studio coverage of this Premier League encounter, and the second half is just got underway then. Brighton 1, West Brom 0 at the break. The 40th minute own goal, unfortunate own goal from Jake Livermore when Branislav Ivanovic's clearance hit his own teammate and into the back of the net. But the Seagulls won't care. They have the advantage in this game, and it was deserved really from their first half performances. Brighton, they're blue and white, they're going from right to left in this second 45, and then West Brom there in their yellow and green stripes. Doesn't look like there's been any changes made by either manager for the second half, I should say. So it's Matt Ryan in goal for Brighton still. Dan Burn, Adam Webster and Joel Veltman. Solly March, Yves Bissouma, Ben White and Tariq Lamptey, who's yellow carded. Leandro Trossard, Neil Maupay and Adam Lallana. As for West Brom, it's Sam Johnson in goal. Connor Townsend, Semi Ajayi, Branislav Ivanovic and Darnell Furlong as a back four. Jake Livermore in front of them. Grady Dean Garner, Filip Krovanovic, Conor Gallagher and Mateus Pereira trying to be the creative sparks for Carlon Grant up front. Grant had little to feed off in that first 45 minutes. To be hoping for a bit more energy and creativity from his teammates behind him, as the ball is down the right with Pereira, but his pass is intercepted, and now Brighton work it up towards halfway. Nice spin by Lallana, and he's just brought down. Livermore just putting his hands around the waist of Lallana and just hauling him to the floor. So it will be a free kick. Ivan Bilic again doesn't look much happier at the start of this second half. As things stand, West Brom, they'll be going another match without picking up a win. Be more disappointment for them. It'll be a sixth game of the Premier League season without managing to end up on the winning side, and you need to start picking up points sooner rather than later, really, because they could find themselves cut adrift. There's already a little gap between 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. It's 1-1-1-2-4. Brighton will go on to 7 points though with this win, so it would be that bottom four that just cut away at the moment. And if Burnley don't pick up anything at home against Tottenham in the 8 PM game, which we do have commentary on, then it'll be worrying for that quartet, which also includes Sheffield United and Fulham. As Livermore has a header which he wins on the halfway line, but then Bissouma gets him. His head can only find the feet though of Townsend, who just comes in field from the left back position. Then he tries to dink one over the top, but Dean Garner can't get on the end of that one. It's a good interception by Webster. Gets his head to it. Long ball upfield by Matt Ryan, looking for Lallana. He's beaten to it. Foot comes in from Lamptey to just poke the ball away from Dean Garner, and now there's a throw in taken quickly down that line to Dean Garner. Lamptey is again with him quickly. Little step over by Dean Garner. Lallana comes back to help out his teammate. Now it's with Krovanovic, back out to Townsend, one touch, and he delivers the ball in there. It's a good looking ball as well, headed away. Gallagher on the edge of the area, his right footed volley is blocked. Ryan was sprawling to his right hand side. I'm not sure if that didn't hit a defender, whether Matt Ryan's going to get to that one. It's a really good hit by Conor Gallagher. Right footed, half volley, first time. It's a really, really good strike by the youngster in. Yeah, I'm not sure actually if Ryan's going to get there or not, but we'll never know, as there was a good block that came in the end. Brighton 1, West Brom 0 is still the score. Out towards the right hand side where Lamptey has possession now. Brighton do a little bit of pressure, just playing out from the back. It's now towards the goalkeeper. Ryan just puts his left boot through this one and actually just gets it upfield, straight out of play though. It'll be a throw into West Brom on the left hand side, midway through Brighton's half. As Townsend will get the ball from the sidelines, and he throws it short down the line to Diangana. First touch gives it back to Townsend. Now it's towards the feet then of Livermore, but then Livermore gives it away. But she gets away with it as White can only poke it out for another throw for West Brom. Diangana now once again trying to use his silky skills to get away, but he's intercepted, and now Trossard has possession. He's weaving his way forward as well, but he runs into trouble. Diangana has possession now for West Brom, tries to find Grant, but he's on his heels. It's a little bit scrappy, but Brighton managed to work this one up towards midway, but then they've given it away as well. This time it was White who was guilty. Now Gallagher out towards Krovanovic. Pereira back to Krovanovic. Now Diangana down the left hand side, gets the ball out of his feet, delivers a ball there, missed by the first defender, but got by the second one, and Veltman right footed half volleys it away, and now Lallana has possession inside his own half of Brighton. White finds Trossard, nice back heel to find Lallana, then another one who finds Trossard again in field. He then spreads it across towards his left hand side as Byrne comes out from the back, just dinks it inside now towards Basuma, who's right on the halfway line. He'll go back towards the feet then of Webster, under a little pressure from Grant. Now he finds the ball forward towards the feet of White. Now Mope, nice little flick by him out towards the left hand side. There's a bit of space for Solly March inside the penalty area. He goes there, goes for a dink shot. It's a horrible decision from Solly March. He tried something exquisite. The goalkeeper Johnson was off his line by a few yards, and he just tries to catch him out by going for a little dinked finish towards the top right corner, but it was straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, and Neil Mope was remonstrating with his teammate for what on earth he was doing there. As Livermore now has the ball, finds Townsend on the halfway line, infield towards Krovanovic. Baggies trying to get something going. They just look like they're lacking that spark though in the final third at the moment. Nothing for Carl and Grant to feed off so far, as Pereira is under a bit of pressure now from Byrne, but Pereira does well, finds a ball forward into the field of Krovanovic. Now Diangana down the left hand side, takes one touch, he delivers a ball in there. It's a decent looking ball, but again it's a Brighton defender that gets to it first. This time it's Webster, right place at the right time. It's the stand-in skipper for Brighton this evening in place of Lewis Dunk. That's better from West Brom though. It's getting the ball out quickly to the flanks, not taking too much time, one touch and whipping a ball into the area. And now they're coming forward again there. It's Livermore out towards his right side where he finds Furlong, who's in field now. He tries to dink one towards the far post there, looking for the run of Townsend. It's flicked away though by the head of Lallana, and now Lamptey will pick up the scraps. Lamptey just puts it inside towards Lallana, just on the edge of his own box. Now he finds White, who can turn. A little 180 then by the former Leeds loanee. Now he plays a nice ball down that right hand side for Lamptey, who'll try to use his pace to stretch down that side. He's got Livermore who's trying to come across and stop him. Lamptey though gets inside of him. Looks like he's fouled as Lamptey, still going, goes down in the penalty area. Nothing given by the referee, no real appeals I have to say. Lamptey has a little look at the referee, Jonathan Moss. He looked like he was fouled to start with there, Lamptey, because Livermore, he gets in all sorts of issues with his feet there as he was nutmegged. Then Lamptey sort of falls on the ball inside the box, and then eventually a toe comes in from the West Brom man in Townsend. But it goes a bit of 6 and 2 threes really from both players, as West Brom have themselves a throw on the halfway line on that far left hand side of the field. Slaven Bilic is again looking rather frustrated. I don't think it'll be too long. Maybe gives it to the hour mark, will Bilic, if West Brom haven't had more of an attacking threat if they haven't tested Matt Ryan really. That he'll look to the substitutes bench. I mentioned Callum Robinson there, top goal scorer in the Premier League this season with 2. He is on the bench as this ball is whipped in from the left hand side. Maybe a chance, and Solly March composed at the back stick there. He just chests it into the arms of Matt Ryan. But again, that's a better ball in from West Brom, but just not enough targets. There was only Carlon Grant really who was in close vicinity of that. No one else had committed into the penalty area. That's the issue for West Brom at the moment, as Ryan plays a long ball downfield out of his hands. Mopé tries to flick that one around the corner. Ivanovic actually gets his foot to it, but can only put it out of play for a Brighton throw on this near side. Always a willing runner is Mopé. And that front 3 actually for Brentford, which was so prolific a couple of seasons ago, well, they're all gone now. Mopé's at Brighton, Ollie Watkins is at Aston Villa, and Saïd Benrahma is at West Ham United. It just shows how good those 3 were as a trio when they played for the Bees, and they've all got some good moves to the Premier League now, as Matheus Pereira is just caught on the ankles ever so slightly by Solly March, and a free kick is given to the Baggies. The referee's just having a little word with Leandro Trossard just to calm down a little bit. See this again. But I mean, it was Solly March who had the foul. Don't know whether Trossard has just said something to the referee which Jonathan Moss didn't quite like, and he's just given him a ticking off. As Johnson has the ball outside his own penalty area, plays a long ball downfield out towards the left hand side. The flick on header is won by Townsend. Ian Garner tries to get on the end of it, just cleared out of play by Webster, but it's a throw to West Brom. Good bit of good field position for them. Livermore back to Townsend. Livermore has it again, having nearly played the ball straight out. Ivanovic has it now on the halfway line. It's out towards his near side for Furlong. He then lays it forward, looking for the run then of Carlon Grant, which he finds. Now it's Furlong again. Now Pereira switches out towards the left hand side. This is better for West Brom. Townsend takes a touch, tries to deliver a cross in. It hits off the back of the right leg of Lamptey, and then Brighton managed to pick up the pieces as there was some poor work by Krovanovic, and now Lallana bringing this ball out from his own defensive third. Does really well there, Lallana. Finds March on this left hand side. I feel Lallana may be a candidate to come off at some point in terms of whether he's got the fitness levels and the injury problems that he has. I don't think Graham Potter will want to overwork him too much. To try and get as much out of the former Liverpool man as he can in this season. As Ryan finds the ball towards the edge of the box for Webster. He just turns, it goes back towards his goalkeeper. Ryan then gets the ball out of his feet, finds a short ball towards White, who's dropped very deep from his centre midfield position to pick that up. Sort of quarterback style role. Now, nice ball by Webster, finds Lallana, who can twist and turn and come over the halfway line. He finds Trossard now, who's under a bit of pressure from Ajayi, who stepped out of defence. Trossard, though, still has the ball, tries to play one to a Lamptey, but Lamptey just goes back towards the halfway line, and the Seagulls are happy to keep possession and start again. Veltman now with the ball around the centre circle spot. He just finds Webster to his right hand side. He then goes for a long diagonal ball out towards his left side, but that's been intercepted far too easily by Furlong. He was looking for March, didn't find his intended target, and now Pereira can come forward, and he puts one down the line there for Gallagher, who's made the forward run. Gallagher is still going there, gets towards the edge of the box, lays it inside. They're looking for Pereira. That's a brilliant recovering challenge from Ben White. Had to make that one because Pereira was going to have a free sight at goal there, and he does have the quality to finish, does Pereira. But Ben White in that role does really, really well. Read the danger, covered back, and now Brighton can come forward themselves. It's Basuma just over halfway down the left hand side. Now he finds March hugging that touchline. He drifts inside now, looking to go past Furlong. March instead just goes back down the line for Basuma, flicks it inside then towards White. A little pull on his left arm there by Livermore. White is strong enough though to hold him off, and goes back towards the halfway line where Webster has possession. Now Lamptey back to Webster. It's all a bit tepid, you have to say, from West Brom at the moment. Brighton are happy to pass it around. They don't have to go for another goal. They'd be happy to see out a 1-0 and take 3 points. It's West Brom, really, the onus is on them to try and make something happen, and I can't say it's going to be too long until Slaven Bilic will look at his bench. Well, I would suspect that anyway. as Ajayi has possession on the halfway. Finds it to Klovanovic. Now it is with Livermore. Steps up towards the halfway line. Under pressure, or White ahead of him. Just holds the ball, looking for options. Finds Gallagher to his right-hand side, just slightly ahead of him. Gallagher goes back to Livermore on halfway. Now it's Furlong on this right side. Just finds Pereira. Now it's with Livermore again. Back to Furlong. Slowly working their way down this right side. Then Furlong gives it away to Mopé. And now Trossard trying to come forward. He's up towards halfway. Outside of the right boot, he finds March. His ball inside is deflected away by Ivanovic. And actually, Ivanovic has hit it back off Solly March and got aside a throw-in. Graham Potter can't believe it. Flabbergasted, I think, is the word there from Graham Potter. Puts his head down, a little shake of the head towards the referee as well. It's worth mentioning, though, that a good job that Graham Potter has done. His debut season in the Premier League last time out with the Seagulls, kept them up, and that was after the good job that he'd done with Swansea with basically no money. I think he had to spend at Swansea, but still had them challenging up there. That was also after his stint at Swedish side Östersunds. As Neil Mopé is going to win a side a free kick at Ivanovic, just going through the back of him. A little bit too robust there from the former Chelsea man. And instead of playing a long ball forward, they just take this free kick short to Brighton around the halfway line. It's with Byrne out towards March, who's got a bit of space to run into now, March, and he goes for a crossfield ball looking for Lamptey. Just find Lamptey. Dean Garnett in close proximity, though. Lamptey tries to turn and go back down the line, slips, but again he's so quick and so hard to get off the ball that he manages to get there ahead of Dean Garnett. Brighton are forced back inside their own half, and Webster will just go safety first back towards the goalkeeper Ryan, and they'll start again once more. It's with Basuma. Ball all the way towards Matt Ryan. His long ball upfield is a low flat delivery. Finds Mopé though, and now Brighton are trying to come forward as Lallana picks up possession out towards his left hand side, and March has got a bit of space to run into now. Left corner of the area, Lallana on the overlap. He finds Lallana now into the penalty area towards the byline, drills one, trying to find the ball back across the 6-yard area, but Townsend gets the block in. It's behind for a corner, but much better from Brighton when they spring into action. They're so good to watch there. It was a good run there by Lallana to go on the overlap. Just couldn't quite find his teammate, but they do have a set piece chance now to the Seagulls. I actually think Lallana is blowing a bit, and I actually think Lallana is going off now. I think that is his last action, as it looks as if Brighton are making a substitution. Lallana is slowly trudging off towards the sidelines. It's been a good hour though. Like we said, they don't want to overwork Adam Lallana to Brighton. They don't want to risk any potential injuries for him. When he's on song, he really is. He's a good player to have. So Adam Lallana is off. That's the first change made in this game by either side. And it's the German Pascal Gross who has come on to replace him. See if he can have the desired effect to maybe get Brighton a second goal and give them a little bit of breathing space. And the first action of Pascal Gross is going to be to take this corner kick. It'll be a right-footed in-swinging delivery from the German. Puts his right arm up aloft and then steps up to this one. Right-footed delivery towards the near post there. It's missed by Ben White, who went for it there. West Brom managed to get their lines clear. Now it is with Pereira, but then he's been robbed of possession. Trossard picks it back up, threads a little through ball there, edge of the area for Mopé. Now it's March towards his left-hand side. March looking up, just goes back down the line, finds the feet then of Gross. He'll deliver a high ball towards the far stick. Looking for that one was the number 33 in Byrne, but skews off his head and goes behind for a goal kick. Danger is gone. Well, into the second half, and it's still Brighton 1, West Brom 0. And I have to say, it's the same pattern really as the first half. The Seagulls are looking a lot more lively when they spring into action. They seem to have that threat about them with Mopé, Trossard. Lallana was playing well. They got an hour out of him to Brighton before they've just made a change. Pascal Gross has come on to replace him. No injury. I think it's just maintaining his minutes, and you don't want to give Lallana any unnecessary injuries. As for West Brom, though, they're yet to make a change, but they're just struggling to get any clear sight of goal at the moment, and you'd feel that Slaven Bilic will be mixing things up very, very shortly. It's still Brighton 1, West Brom 0. As I just say, that he'd be mixing things up very, very shortly. He is, because Jake Livermore is going off the field of play. Callum Robinson is coming on. The man they got from Sheffield United. thought Robinson was going to get the skipper's armband there, but Livermore was just giving it to Robinson to pass on to the next person. And it's also going to be Grady Dean Garner is going off, and Edwards is coming on to replace him. Maybe eyebrows raised to that one ever so slightly. Dean Garner is one of their most attacking players, creative players, can grab himself a goal as well. But the decision has been made by Slaven Bilic, so Edwards is on the field of play. Kyle Edwards, promising youngster. Can he have that explosiveness about him to try and get West Brom back into this game? And Callum Robertson as well, the number 7, is on the field of play, so you'd say Robinson might play a little bit closer to Grant. Here's the Baggies. Number 29, the lone striker, hasn't really had much support around him, as Brighton have possession just inside their own half. It's with Webster up towards halfway. Over the halfway line he goes, and now there's a ball turned around the corner by Gross for Lamptey. He then delivers one towards the edge of the penalty area. That ball is won in the air though by Furlong. He was looking for the number 20 in March, and now West Brom trying to come forward there. That's a lovely ball forward by Gallagher. He finds Robinson now, who's going to have a little run at Byrne here. Robinson then lays it towards his left hand side. Pereira, edge of the area, can he get a shot away? Goes to the pass instead. He does find Edwards. He's forced out wide and has to go back down the line. Now it's with Townsend. Little ball short inside to Gallagher. Around 35 yards out there. Finds Robinson. He tries a little 1-2 there. It's still in a good position here at West Brom as Furlong gets himself towards the byline. Tries to flick it off the Brighton man March. And he will, I think, win his side a goal kick, I think, there from March. I'm quite sure what the referee's actually given here, but everyone seems to be walking away. Yeah, that's really good defending by March, actually. All Furlong was trying to do was just flick it off Solly March and get inside a cheap corner. It didn't work though. Came off Furlong last in. Well, it's going to be a goal kick. Just seeing Grady Dean Garner in the sidelines. He looks very disappointed, very frustrated there with his coat and the bib back on. Probably would have liked to have stayed out there. Again, it's a big call by Slaven Bilic to take one of the most attacking players off. One of the sparks that they've had in this game. Although Tariq Lamptey is marshalled him very, very well, as Edwards is coming forward now down the left-hand side. He finds Townsend, one touch, lays it towards the edge of the area, shot comes in, oh, it's gone wide there from Pereira, left-footed. He tried to go across goal towards the right-hand side, and he's just skewed it past the post there. Well, that's better though, no one tracking Pereira, and you have to say, from just around the edge of the area, should probably be hitting the target at least there, Pereira, and it's gone well wide in the end actually. From the initial angle I saw, it looked like it had just gone a whisker past the post, but it's gone around 5 yards wide there. It was always angling away when he hit it. And a player of his quality, you'd expect him to have at least tested the goalkeeper Matt Ryan there. He was sprawling towards his left hand side, and it will be Ryan, the Aussie, to take this goal kick. Right-footed, long ball upfield, over halfway. Finds the head of Byrne. Wins his flick on. Now it's towards Mopé. Holds possession. Gives it back towards the halfway line where White has it. Out towards the right-hand side now where Lamptey will try and come forward. He goes back in field then towards White. So calm and composed in possession. Now it's with Trossard. Back towards Tariq Lamptey, will go all the way towards Ryan, who's actually come around 20 yards outside of his own penalty area. He plays a long ball upfield. They're looking for March. It's gone over his head though, allowed to bounce by Furlong and out for a throw-in for the Baggies. Now Furlong plays a long ball forward there, floats it down the line, nearly found Robinson. That's a good win in the air by Byrne, but Robinson gets the seconds, and now Pereira trying to weave his way through 3 blue shirts, but Byrne's done a really good job in the end. But then, just as I say that, he gives his ball away as he tries to clear it down the line. Now Krovanovic is scampering in field there, tries to play a ball towards the edge of the area. He does well there, maybe an opportunity. They're scrambling in the box, it falls towards the edge of the area, left-footed strike, and that's a brilliant save by Matt Ryan this time, diving to his right hand side. Krovanovic, well, this time he struck it really, really well. Pereira miscued his effort before. This one is a fierce hit by Krovanovic. That's angling into the left-hand side of the goal, bar the 2 hands of Matt Ryan, who came across and gets a really good save on that one. Puts it behind for a corner kick, but just signs that the Baggies are starting to up the tempo a little bit. Brighton have conceded the most set-piece goals this season with 7. So that should give West Brom some hope. Semi Ajayi is a big player in there, Ivanovic as well. Can either of those two get their heads to it first? The referee actually is just holding this corner being taken. He's going to have a word with Furlong in the box, who is being marked by Pascal Gross. I think Furlong's being the one that is getting told off. Bit of bumping around. They're still pushing each other in the area. Eventually this corner does come in there. Outswinging delivery. And Matt Ryan decides to punch with his two fists there and gets a good clearance on it. West Brom do have the ball back, but they've had to go towards Sam Johnson, who's around 20 yards outside his own penalty area. Plays a long diagonal ball forward down the left hand side. It's a brilliant ball as well, but the touch isn't great from Pereira as Lamptey gets on that one. And then Lamptey, under a bit of pressure from Gallagher, finds the ball in field towards Webster. He just clears a ball upfield towards halfway. Trossard is beaten in the air, but then Trossard gets the attempted ball inside from Robinson. Now it's with March midway through his own half. He plays a long ball down the left hand side. They're looking for Mope, who's got on the wrong side of Ivanovic, but Semi Ajayi comes across in. He spotted, he realised the danger there of the pace of Mope against Ivanovic, and just gave Mope a little nudge there when he got a foot on the ball. It's really good defending by the big centre half. And now the Baggies can start again from inside their own penalty area. Looks up and, well, he's looked up, but he's done about 3 turns there, and there's no one ahead of him, so he's had to go back towards Johnston, and that is the issue at the moment for the Baggies. They have looked a little bit sharper, the chance with Pereira, the chance with Krovanovic, but they were both from outside the area. Nothing clear cut from inside the box as of yet, as a Furlong goes down there under a foul from March. Looks like we're going to see another change for Brighton, and it's going to be Alex McAllister, and it's Solly March who will be going off there. I mentioned before, McAllister, he did score the goal, the equaliser, and that 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace last time out, the Argentine. There's a diagonal looking ball there. The header is won by Webster, but only towards a yellow and green shirt, and now the Baggies come forward. It's Edwards. Now he finds Townsend towards his left hand side. He looks in field and finds Gallagher. Just trying to probe and get it behind this Brighton defence. Long ball into the area. Is headed away though by Byrne. It's good strong defending by Byrne, and now McAllister tries to scurry down that left channel. It's won by Robinson. Out for a throw, and actually it's come off McAllister last, so West Brom have themselves the throw and they take it quickly. Ball is just floated out towards the left hand side to find Townsend. Again, he's asking for options. He's asking for players to come short for him or just make a bit of movement. It's not happening at the moment. Krovanovic now has it, but then he can't find Robinson. His pass is a little bit too much on, and Brighton have the ball back as Webster just plays up towards halfway. His ball is a bit aimless though, can't find Trossard, and again West Brom have it back. It's arguably one of the scrappiest passages of play in this game. Neither side keeping hold of possession, as there looks like there's a foul on the halfway line there. Basuma just throwing Pereira to the floor, and Pereira, well, don't like that. He's asked the referee for a yellow card, but Jonathan Moss just says no, take your free kick and get going, which they do in the end as Furlong has the ball down the line to Robinson. He looks to deliver a ball in field. It should have been dealt with in the end. It is sort of half dealt with there. It's gone out for a throw pretty much where Robinson tried the pass inside. West Brom will have themselves a throw once more. Furlong is saying, well, where's the ball? Eventually it does come towards him. Again, he's looking for options. He's looking for someone to make some movement. He just goes short down the line to Robinson, who is trying to... Beltman, who tried to scamper forward. Krovanovic putting himself in the right place at the right time, but only to put that out for a throw-in for Brighton. But still, Brighton 1, West Brom 0, but just signs maybe that the Baggies are getting themselves into this game ever so slightly, trying to find this equaliser. They have made a couple of changes. Cal Edwards and Callum Robinson have come on for Grady Dean Garnett and Jake Livermore. There was a chance though for Mateus Pereira, and the ball was squared to him on the edge of the box, but his left-footed strike, he skewed it wide there. It was always going wide with his left foot off the right post. And then there was a chance for Filip Krovanovic when he struck one really well from the edge of the box. It was angling into the left-hand corner, but it was a good save by Ryan, who got across with two hands and punched it away. But Brighton also have their bit of threat coming forward as well. They would love a second goal though to give themselves some breathing space, but it's still 1-0. A bit of a coming together actually around the halfway line. This time it was Webster, but referee happy enough to let play go on as the Baggies try to come forward down the left hand side. They've got it inside their own half though. Brighton still having that high press as they try to stop West Brom building any sort of head of steam. And then a long ball outfield actually by Johnson, just straight out of play. He's done that a few times this evening as Sam Johnson. His distribution from the back hasn't been the greatest. He's had some superb balls where he's raked them about 70 yards, but then he's had some terrible balls where he's only got to hit them around 30 yards and he's just put them straight out of play. So maybe an area for him to work on the training ground. As this throw is taken infield then by Pascal Gross, but his attempted throw was intercepted, and now they're trying to come forward, but it's with the feet of Pereira up towards halfway, but he loses possession. Trossard doing some really good work there to win the ball back, and Trossard still battling away. So good there as the number 11 never gives up. He's a bundle of energy, and he's certainly helping the Seagulls at the moment as they play a long ball forward, chested back, looking for the runner McAllister. Now he tries to find Lamptey on the overlap, but he's overhit that one. Lamptey charging forward. He had the pace on Townsend, but he could have managed to catch it with that ball from McAllister. He's out for a goal kick. As they take it quickly, Ivanovic finds Krovanovic. Ooh, nice little bit of footwork by him as he turns away from Basuma. Now, as they try to come forward, there was a foul in the middle of the park there. Colin Grant maybe got a little bit lucky there for me. I think he just had his pocket pick, but the referee said it was a foul, which the Baggies take this free kick short up towards halfway. Now it is with Pereira. Low ball towards the right to find Furlong. Again, he's got no one ahead of him, so he just has to turn and look back towards his centre half, Ivanovic. Now it's with Johnston out towards the left centre half and Ajayi. He in turn again has to go towards Johnson. It's good press here by Brighton. They're saying to West Brom, well, you want to try and get through us, then you're going to have to do something a bit special. As Krovanovic now has the ball midway through his own half. That's better though as Gallagher now comes forward as he strides over halfway. He's got Lamptey on his shoulder, finds the ball towards Robinson, hugging this right touchline. He'll try and have a go at Byrne here. Robinson delivers a good looking ball in, or it just doesn't fall, just towards the edge of the area though. Left foot strike, oh, and it's gone wide, and Matt Ryan was motionless. He was just stuck still there, was the Aussie goalkeeper. He was watching this one, praying it doesn't end up in his top left corner. Lovely ball in by Robinson. It was sort of cleared away towards the edge of the D. Oh, and he's flicked the outside of the post as well. As Pereira that shot. Seeing it from a different angle. He's running onto it. It's right on the edge of the D. Left-footed. Bends it. Starts it outside of the post. Just doesn't get the bend, all the bend he wanted, and it flicks the outside of the post there. But that is probably the closest that West Brom have come to getting themselves back on level terms. It's actually the 7th attempt that they have had in this game, but only 2 have been on target, and that is the issue at the moment. But it's a good hit from Pereira, so he does have that quality about him. As the ball is on the halfway line, now it is with Trossard. Challenge comes in on the halfway line, and that could be a booking actually here for Adam Webster. Yeah, referee comes across and brandishes the yellow card. It was a little bit rash there by Webster, the stand-in skipper. Lunged in on the halfway line with his right foot, went sort of through the back and the side of the West Brom forward in Grant. I think rightly so, it's probably a free kick and a yellow card. Second player to go in the book this evening is Webster, along with his teammate Tariq Lamptey. As West Brom again come forward down the right. Now it falls towards Townsend. He dinks one towards the far post. Maybe a chance. It's flicked away by Byrne, only as far as Pereira. Trying to get something back in the area, just sprays it in field, but his pass has been intercepted by Trossard, and now he'll try and come forward. He's got Krovanovic basically jumping on his back as Byrne tries to clear this ball downfield. Takes a big deflection off Pereira, but it's gratefully into the arms of Ryan, who actually just let this one drop down and waste some time before he's told to basically had some pressure put on him to pick the ball back up. We're going to see Steven Alzate come on very, very shortly as well for the Seagulls, their third and final change. I'd be surprised if this was not for Leandro Trossard, who's put in a good shift this evening. But maybe just he's ran out of gas, and some fresh legs will help Brighton in these last 12 minutes plus stoppage time. As Trossard then, just as I say that, just nip in to win the ball back. It's on halfway with Byrne, who's had his ankles trodden on there. That will be a free kick, and Gallagher is the guilty party this time. Byrne will just take his time, and this substitution will be made as well for Brighton. So it will be Steven Alzate coming on, and it is Leandro Trossard who will be going off the field of play. Very good shift put in, like I mentioned, by Alzate. Sorry, by Trossard. Alzate on to replace him then. He's yet to score for Brighton in the Premier League. 19 times he played last season. He's had 4 appearances so far. This will be his 5th of the campaign. He's on to the field of play. See what he can do. Like I said, Brighton would probably like themselves a second goal just to give themselves that bit of breathing space and probably wrap up the victory, but I suppose they definitely take a 1-0 as well. Still that Jake Livermore own goal on the 40th minute, which separates the two sides, as Webster just thinks this free kick down the left-hand channel, looking for Byrne. It's just flicked out of play by Furlong, but it will be a throw to the Seagulls. It's Byrne who will take this one. Deep down that left-hand side, exactly where Brighton want to have possession, nowhere near their penalty area. Byrne then throws it into the box of Maupay. He's allowed to hold this one by Ivanovic, and then he flicks it off Ivanovic to Maupay and gets his side a corner kick. It was a brilliant play then by the Frenchman. Ivanovic was just on his heels ever so slightly. Clever throw into the box of Byrne. Good strength and hold up play by Maupay. Ivanovic didn't want to put a challenge in and has to concede the corner. Can they get the second goal to put this game to bed, the Seagulls? Webster's up from the back, as is Byrne. Veltman. Will it be a good delivery from Pascal Gross? It'll be another right-footed in-swinging delivery, as he does deliver this one in there towards the near post. It's headed up and away by the head then of Furlong. It's picked up by Basuma. He does find Gross, who then tries to play it back into the area. It's a dreadful ball though, into the arms of Johnston, who goes for an immediate kick out there up towards halfway. Basuma misjudges his header initially, but he does well actually to find a teammate. He'd just readjusted at the last second there, but then Basuma gives away the ball, and now West Brom have got a chance to come forward. Pereira trying to weave his way through a couple of challenges, gets dispossessed, and now it is with McAllister over halfway. He's got Lamptey ahead of him, just holds on to the ball, still with McAllister under no pressure, just gives it back towards White on the halfway line. Now it is with Gross. Now Basuma, he just goes back infield towards the feet of White, towards that right hand side where Lamptey was waiting, but he's given it away. West Brom win the ball back. They've got 9 minutes, the Baggies, plus any stoppage time to try and get themselves an equalising goal. It hasn't really looked forthcoming. They looked a bit better in the second half, but the chances have all come from outside the area. That's the big issue for them. They're not cutting open defences. They're not having clear sights at goal from inside the box. And it could be a long old season for West Brom if they don't start creating more chances for themselves, if they don't start being more clinical when opportunities come their way. As Gallagher has the ball just over halfway, does a little 180 spin. Now the ball towards the feet of Edwards in field. He tries a crossfield ball, and that's been deflected and into the path of Maupay up towards halfway. Now it's with McAllister. He goes back towards Byrne, who in turn finds Webster. Now it is with Gross. Feeds it out towards the right hand side, where it's brought down by Veltman now. Definitely a little change in where the personnel are for Brighton. Ben White looks like he's dropped back into one of the 3 centre halves now, alongside Webster and Byrne. Veltman looks as if he's gone out towards the right wing-back position, with Tariq Lamptey a little bit higher up as West Brom come forward down this right-hand side. Robinson low ball into the penalty area, it breaks a Grant, right-footed shot, and into the back of the net, and out of absolutely nothing, West Brom are back on level terms, and it's Karlon Grant. Well, that is why they bought him, West Bromwich Albion from Huddersfield. It's a brilliant finish. He's had very little to go on this evening, scraps if anything, but this time the ball comes to him, one touch, and then bang with his right foot into the top corner. It's a little bit unfortunate. The ball in from Robertson is not a good one, but Webster just sticks out a foot. It skims off his right heel. It puts it straight into the path of Grant, who takes one touch, and he fires it into the top right corner. And like I said, out of absolutely nothing, they've managed to get themselves back on level terms, West Brom, and what a point this could be for them. A leveller then at the Amex Stadium. Brighton 1, West Brom 1. It was looking so comfortable for the Seagulls. I mean, West Brom, they did have some chances in the second half. Pereira most recently clipping the outside of the post before the equaliser went in. But this chance, it came down the right-hand side. Robinson, one of the substitutes, he managed to get a ball in there. It's a low ball from the right-hand channel. There's a little sort of foot just flicked out by Adam Webster. It skims off his heel. It puts it straight into the path of Karlon Grant, who's around the penalty spot. Takes one touch with his right foot, and then he smashes it past Matt Ryan, who did get a little finger to it, but he couldn't keep it out. And West Brom, out of absolutely nothing, are back on level terms. It's Brighton 1, West Brom 1. And with that, actually, for Karlon Grant, that's his last action of this match, because he's just been replaced. He gets the pats on the back from his manager, Slaven Bilic, and it's Matt Phillips who has come on to replace him. But Brighton, they'll feel sick of that one, really. It was looking comfortable for them. They were limiting West Brom to chances from distance, or shots from distance I should say, but they've maybe been made to pay. While it stays 1-0, there is always that opportunity to get back on level terms. You always think a team will make themselves one chance. That's exactly what West Brom have done, and it's Brighton 1, West Brom 1. Still not the first Premier League victory of the season for West Brom, but they would take a share of the spoils most definitely. Brighton, though, they have a corner kick. It'll be an in-swinging delivery from Gross, high towards the far post there. Ooh, and Johnson comes out and he absolutely clatters Dan Burn. I mean, how on earth that's not a foul, a penalty, really, when you think of the broad spectrum of things. I mean, Johnson's just absolutely clattered into him. If that's outside of the box, and that's an outfield player doing that to another outfield player, it's a free kick all day long. Just maybe a bit too much protection for goalkeepers, which is maybe a discussion for another day. But I mean, Sam Johnson just gets it all wrong there, and Dan Burn just gets absolutely clattered by Johnston. Strange one for me, really, but less than 5 minutes plus any stoppage time to go. Brighton 1, West Brom 1. Graham Potter now looks on a little bit anxiously, as he thought his side were pulling themselves away from the relegation zone in these early exchanges of the season. As it is, Brighton will stay 16th. They'll be on 5 points now. West Brom, they'll stay 17th. They're on 3 points. And then you have Burnley 18th with a point, Sheffield United 19th with a point, and Fulham 20th with a point. Of course, the Clarets, they host Tottenham Hotspur in the 8 p.m. game this evening, and that is available commentary as well for you later. Actually run you through the two lineups very shortly, as West Brom are coming forward down this left hand side, though. Can they potentially get themselves a winner? Gallagher was looking for the feet of Edwards. It's been read well by White, and Edwards actually puts the ball behind for a goal kick. Lineups then for Burnley Spurs. Burnley go with Pope and goal, then it's Taylor, Tarkowski, Long and Loughton, McNeil, Brownhill, Westwood and Goodmanson, with Wood and Barnes as the top two. As for Spurs, they have Lloris in goal, then it's Davies, Dyer, Alderweireld and Doherty at the back, Højbjerg and Sissoko in the middle, with Son and Ndombele and Lucas Moira playing behind Harry Kane. So it should be a cracker at Turf Moor between those two sides. As it is, it's still Brighton 1, West Brom 1 at the Amex Stadium. Just over 3 minutes plus stoppage time to go for either of these sides, maybe to get themselves a winner now. But it would feel like a snatched 3 points, you have to say, for West Brom. As Krovanovic plays his free kick quickly that he received on halfway. Now he finds Furlong to his right hand side. Pereira again, Krovanovic back to Furlong, just working in the triangles up, those three players. Furlong in the end just goes back towards his goalkeeper Johnson, just outside his own penalty area. Right footed, plays a long ball forward then. It's to absolutely nobody though, as And Webster will pick up the scraps here. Ooh, it's a risky ball. They played right across him there as Robinson was closing in, but it came off for him. As Webster has it just inside his own half. Then he plays a ball forward then towards Mope. Ivanovic though does well. Gets a little foot in and wins the ball back. And now there's a through ball there. And there's an opportunity for West Brom. Carlon Grant. Oh, he just can't get it. It's Phillips, excuse me. Sorry, he's come on for Grant there. Just couldn't quite get the ball out of his feet. But what an opportunity that was. Maybe if he'd been on a little bit longer, the Scotland international, he could have potentially got onto that one a little bit better. As Semi Ajayi shows his strength again, and he shoves Tariq Lamptey to the floor. That ball goes behind and it rolls for a goal kick for the Baggies. Lovely through ball there. Matt Phillips just couldn't get the touch there, couldn't get the ball out of his feet. Allowed the Brighton defenders to get back and put a challenge in on him. As Yves Bissouma has given away a free kick, which the referee has blown for. Jonathan Moss just asking them to take the free kick from where the foul happened, as Pereira does have it on the halfway line now, but his ball forward to Phillips. He wasn't actually on the same wavelength, and Brighton have the ball back as they work it towards Byrne. Plays a long ball upfield looking for Mope, but he's been beaten in the air by Ivanovic. Now Krovanovic has it. Gallagher. Is there a late sting now for West Brom to go and get themselves all 3 points in this one? Townsend down the left hand side. Infield now towards the feet of Gallagher. Back towards the feet of Ajayi. Now it's Townsend again on that left hand touchline. He then goes infield as he finds Ivanovic. A little chest down then by the former Chelsea man. Plays it out towards this right side for Furlong, who's been ushered to go down the line. Furlong then does try and find Phillips, who does in the end after a little deflection. Now Phillips trying to scamper down that channel. Intercepted though by Byrne. Long ball downfield. Then Ivanovic in turn. It's a bit of to me to you at the moment as Bissouma wins his head in the air. He's actually going to get aside. A throw in, I think. Actually, it'll be thrown for West Brom. Just having a little chuckle at Slaven Bilic. Just has not stopped walking around in that technical area for the full 90 minutes at the moment, which we've just hit. Just stoppage time to go in about 30 seconds, and I think they'll probably be around the obligatory 3. There's McAllister trying to win the ball back from Pereira, but the Baggies still coming forward with a bit of menace about them. Now it's with Krovanovic. Just squares it towards Pereira just over halfway. Completely does Lamptey there. Now Pereira tries to slip a through ball. They're looking for Phillips. He's been, well, looked like he was fouled on the edge of the box, but nothing given by the referee. And Brighton clear the lines up towards the halfway line. And Mope this time wins a free kick. Bundled over from behind by Semi Ajayi. And we've just gone ticked into stoppage time now. Brighton 1, West Brom 1. And there will be the obligatory 3 minutes that have gone up on the board now. Can either of these two sides snatch all 3 points, or will they just settle for a share of the spoils? Well, that's a poor ball by Ben White. He's given it away. Now Edwards can try and scamper forward here, and he's put it through for Robinson down this left-hand side. White is trying to get back at him. Robinson into the penalty area, tries to square it, looking for Edwards, and there is Byrne to clear the ball away. I'll tell you what, Ben White is a lucky boy for Brighton. It was a lazy pass by him, just looking to play it out to the right-hand side, easily intercepted, but he's lucky that Dan Byrne has tracked Edwards all the way back there and brought himself in first to clear the ball out for a throw as West Brom try and get themselves a winner. Now it's down this left-hand side with Townsend. He's just dispossessed at the vital moment, but that's a poor ball out from Gross, but he gets away with it as his teammates were there to help him. And now Brighton trying to counter-attack, but they give it away also as Ajayi steps out of defence. Now it is with Furlong down this right-hand side. Finds Phillips, the Scottish international, trying to get past Byrne. Holds on to it, finds Krovanovic, back to Phillips now, hugging the right touchline. He'll have a little go out at Byrne if he can. Little step over by Phillips then. Left foot, right foot, tries to deliver a ball, takes a deflection. It's heaved away by the Brighton defence, but West Brom have it back now. A good finish to this game for the Baggies. Pereira scoops one into the penalty area, maybe an opportunity. Oh, that's a great challenge. Great challenge there by Webster to come across and clear it behind for a corner. Furlong, you maybe think if that's a more attack-minded player, they would have just hit this one after one bounce. He tries to chest it down though, then it hits his midriff and it allows Webster to come across, slide in and put the ball behind. But it is a chance from a set piece late on in this game. Mentioned before, Brighton have conceded the most goals from set pieces in the Premier League so far this season. They take this corner short to West Brom, then it's floated in there, headed up into the air, still some danger, it's not cleared properly, falls to Pereira with his left foot, and he's smashed it over the bar. And is that potentially the last opportunity in this game. We've got around 50 seconds to go. Brighton 1, West Brom 1. Again, it wasn't dealt with that well by Brighton from the corner. It dropped for Pereira running onto it, but he was under pressure. Had some challenges coming in on him, and he just put his foot through it as hard as he could, but way too much power and pace on that one as Brighton play a long ball forward. They're looking for Mopé, but he's been held off by Ajayi again. Mopé is appealing to the referee, saying he had his shirt pulled, but nothing given. And 20 seconds to go now. Ivanovic will just heave this one forward. They're looking for Robinson. Robinson then has got on the end of this one. He's got Webster trying to stop, and Robinson squares this one towards the edge of the area. Can't find Edwards though. That's a good interception by Veltman. Now Tariq Lamptey has the ball, but he's under pressure. Does well though. Lays it back towards Webster, who just puts it up towards the halfway line. Little flick on, and I think with that will be the end of this match. The 3 minutes is up, and the referee looks at his whistle, looks at his watch I should say, and blows his whistle, and that is the end of the game then. So it's a share of the spoils at the Amex Stadium. West Brom scoring late on then to get themselves a point. They're yet to get their first win in the Premier League season, the Baggies, but again, it's a bit more positivity for them. 3 draws in the last 4 games. As for Brighton, they maybe feel now this is 3 points that they have let slip away. Full time then is finished at Brighton 1, West Brom 1.